I'm going to start again. What about you? Good. I was telling you, although you couldn't hear it, that last week we began to consider some of the great I am sayings, the sayings of Jesus that are found in John's Gospel. Last Sunday morning, we heard, I am the Good Shepherd. And in our face-to-face gathering in the afternoon, we heard, I am the bread of life. These words of Jesus, I am the good shepherd, I am the bread of life. Today we think about that extended image where Jesus offers both an I am and a corresponding you are. I am the vine, says Jesus. You are the branches. Here, Jesus encourages his followers to stay in close relationship to him as their essential life force, apart from whom they can do nothing. So I wonder if this morning we might concentrate on two concomitant aspects of the vine and branches image or metaphor that Jesus uses, and reflect on its use of two words. And the words of these, abiding and pruning. We talked a little bit about abiding as we were addressing it. I was addressing you really and getting some responses from our children. So abiding, abide in me. According to the NRSV, anyway, abide in me, Jesus says, as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Abide. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't use the word abide very often. We perhaps use it negatively. I can't abide this or I can't abide that. But even when we say it, I'm not sure if anybody knows what we mean. Abide. Abide. Well, we might not use it very much, but John's Gospel uses its Greek source word a lot. In fact, it's one of the most significant words in the Gospel of John. You'll have noticed it, but you might not, well, you'll have heard it, but you might not have noticed it at various parts in John's Gospel. How about the words of John the Baptist? I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it remained on him. Same Greek word, remained on him. Okay. Teacher, asked the first disciples, teacher, where are you staying? Same word, where are you staying? Come and see, said Jesus, and showed them where he was staying, where he was abiding, where he remained. And they remained, abided with him that day. Having fed the 5,000, Jesus says to the crowd, I am, another one of those I am, we heard it last Sunday afternoon, I am the bread of life. And then he went on, those who eat my flesh and drink my blood abide in me, and I in them. He later consoled his disciples. In my Father's house there are many, well, translations are never sure what to do with this. There are many dwelling places, abiding places, mansions, King James Version used to have. My Father's house, there are many dwelling places. And again, those who love me will keep my word, and my Father will love them. And we, that's my Father and I, will come to them and make our home with them, abide with them, live with them, remain with them, make our home with, it's all the same word. Here in John 15, the word is used over and over again. In those 8 verses that we read, it's used, I think, 8 times at the very least. For verse 4, the NIV offers an alternative to abide. It tells us, remain in me, while the Message has live in me, and continues, make your home in me, just as I do in you. In the same way that a branch can't bear grapes by itself, but only by being joined to the vine, you can't bear fruit unless you are joined to me. That's the message. To abide in Jesus, then, is to remain in, live in, or be joined with him. Without this vital relationship with Jesus, this cleaving, clinging to Jesus, the church is powerless. Not only powerless, but according to those other parts of our reading, the church is wordless, prayerless, fruitless, lifeless, and hopeless unless it abides, remains, lives in Jesus Christ. Without this abiding, the church is simply another religious organization or a social club, nothing more and nothing distinctive about it. But what does this look like in real life? This abiding, living, remaining in Jesus. How do we abide in Jesus? Well, surely the fact that such a relationship is possible is down to sheer grace, the grace of God. That we can be in a living relationship with Jesus is a gracious gift, born in the self-giving love of God. But this divine grace has its corollary in human response. For Jesus charges his followers, abide in me. It's something the followers can do, the church can do, you or I can do or not do. Abide in me. Well, I think we do this by prayer and Bible reading, by drawing near to Jesus in worship and in the Eucharist, and by examining our lives and reflecting on the call of the gospel, both alone and with other Christians. We open our hearts to the presence of the Spirit, and we live our lives according to what Christ says to us. We stay close to Jesus by maintaining a living relationship with him. This is something we must do personally. Nobody else can do it for us, not for you or for me. We have to do it ourselves. It's a matter of willing, of choosing to live our lives in relation to God. And it's unusual in our world, let's be honest. Most people live their life without any relation or association to God or to Jesus Christ. But Jesus calls his followers to live in vital relationship with him, to live, abide, remain, make their home in and with Jesus Christ. The extent to which we do this is the extent to which we'll know anything of the love and life of Jesus as the daily inspiration for our own living. Now, currently in our country, I hope you all know this, you should be able to rehearse it. Currently in our country, you would have to go into quarantine. You know this, don't you? You would have to self-isolate or go into quarantine if you had been in close contact with someone infected with COVID-19, right? Close contact is defined as being within 2 meters for more than 15 minutes, or within a meter for a minute. So if you've been within 2 meters of someone who's got COVID-19 for 15 minutes or longer, you should have to go into quarantine if you discovered they had COVID-19. Or if you've been so close as to be within a meter of them for 1 minute. So tell me, if they were quarantining the close associates of Jesus, would you qualify? Being anywhere near him for 15 minutes? Being very close to him. It goes something like this. The closer you are, you know, when you're very close to him, even a minute might make a difference. But I wonder, I don't know about you, I'm missing other people and a bit of close contact. But I wonder, have we been in close contact with God through Jesus Christ? Or have we been living our lives as if God is not there and Jesus doesn't care? I wonder. 15 minutes and more spent in front of the TV, but 15 minutes and more spent in prayer, reflecting on the word and seeking God's care and love, help in our lives. I wonder, are we abiding in the vine or going our own way? I wonder. Abiding, living close to Jesus. Well, the second aspect, before we run out of time, we've probably done that already. Second aspect that I like to consider is summed up in the word pruning. I don't know if that's a very nice word. What do you think? To prune. It's a nice word unless you're the branch. That's my guess anyway. For Jesus says, every branch that bears fruit, the Father prunes to make it bear more fruit. Thus, God the Father, the vine grower or the vine dresser, the gardener of our lives. So on the one hand, it's a glorious thought. God the Father is the vine dresser, the one who attends to us and our lives, who daily cares for us. What a wonderful thought. What grace, what wonder. On the other hand, there may be something slightly ominous about it. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes. That must be painful, mustn't it? He prunes to make it bear more fruit. The two words are related in the original language. To cut away or to cut back. The choice is simple: be cut away or be cut back. Be cut away from the vine or be pruned. And either way, that seems pretty painful to me. So which will it be? Cut away or cut back? In either case, God turns up in our lives with the pruning knife. Now, the gardeners among us all know the reality of pruning. If you want a plant to grow, to be healthy, to bear fruit, then at some point and in some way, you will have to prune it. You'll have to cut it back to promote new and vibrant growth. How then does the Father prune you and me? Might it be through the daily troubles and difficulties that we encounter? For without adversity, we tend to become indifferent, indolent, or lazy. But the problems and difficulties we face, at least the more mundane ones, demand of us new thoughts, new ideas, new skills, so that the troubles we face might eventually bring out the best in us. Such troubles force us to grow, to change. I wonder, might God prune us via persecution? Oh, we don't get much of that in our country, but around the world there are many suffering deeply because of their faith in Jesus. Might that be one way in which Christ might prune his church, or God might prune his church? Let's put it that way. Are we not pruned by the severing, perhaps, of prior relationships that have become detrimental to our continuing walk with Jesus? Are we not pruned when we give up various pursuits that now get in the way of following Jesus? Is that not a pruning process? Now, I know we don't always want this, but if we're to become the people we could be, those who bear fruit, those who live the life of love, who live in and bear witness to the love and life of God, will have to keep growing. We might do this by facing up to our failures, our inadequacies and weaknesses, and via that painful process, allow the challenges that we face to stretch us and help us grow. Well, Jesus calls us to resurrection life, to eternal life, or life in all its fullness. Such life is found by staying close to Jesus, even through trials and tribulations. If we're to bear fruit, our lives must be wrapped up, tied up, tangled up with the life of Jesus. Such is a wonderful and adventurous life, but it comes at the cost of pruning. God calls us to a life lived in closer relationship with God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The only question remains is, will we answer the call?